I'm here to help identify the virtues of this new app that's working to simplify probably the beast that jumps out on people's imaginations when they get a bad diagnosis or have an unfortunate medical event of a loved one or for themselves. And these people are going to try to help you. Simply Better. I was going through a pretty stressful time in my life and an emotionally charged time in my life. And I'd actually gotten to the point where I'd begun to think, and this is a little bit maybe a very personal part of the situation, but I'd gotten to the point where I thought my being alive was probably maybe not so important. And maybe if I weren't around, the people that were in my life at the time would be happier. And so I took the frame of mind that me being gone was a good thing. And I spent several years thinking that. And then finally one day, when I was in Hawaii, I was walking down the beach and I actually thought, what a beautiful day to die. And I had a heart attack. But not really. Well, did some paddling and rowing, and then when I got back to the shore, I was going to go have some breakfast, and I felt a little faint. I sat down, and then I threw up, and then I stood up, and when I stood up, I fell, and I had what they call, like an elephant sitting on your chest. But this is somebody specifically that could be helpful and simplifies things a little bit. Your signs of a heart attack apparently are just yours and nobody else's. That there's a sort of a general descriptor that you can use that is the elephant thing or whatever, somebody just squeezing your heart too much. But you have a very specific thing that happens for yourself, so that should you survive your heart attack, which of course the chief symptom of any heart attack is death. But luckily I was not one of those people. And if there's another question in your mind, once you've had a heart attack, once you've had your incident, and you're on recovery, if there's another series of events that happen that are similar, there's only one thing that will happen that you'll recognize as a heart attack. It'll be exactly the same feeling. This is what my guy told me. So those were good things to know. After the event of my heart attack, there's a lot of information that came at me from different sources. The very first encounter I had with the medical community was the ER doctor, emergency room doctor, who explained to me. She said they put me on a EKG thing, a readout thing, monitors, and then they said you are having a heart attack. You have thrown a clot somehow. Something has happened. Said, okay, thank you. And I've been actually conscious for about 2 hours now in what were symptoms of a heart attack. She said, there's something we can do, which could help. And I said, fine, what would that be? She said, well, there are side effects. And I said, like what? And she said, death. So I said, well, great, let's just get on with it. And so she gave me what they call a clot buster. And then what I guess part of what that is it makes you cold. It stops your heart. And then I guess the clot has a chance to clear, and then they pop you, with the paddles. And a couple of minutes later, I had a very good experience where I actually thought to myself, well, while I was lying, I had my heart attack. I thought all those things I had thought before about, I don't want to, it'd be best if I just left the scene. Those all went away. And I thought, no, please, just don't show me anything. I don't want to see any lights. I don't want to see anything fancy. I just want to come back and finish out what I still feel I have yet to do. And that meant new children and a new life and all kinds of things, which of course did turn out to be the case. So a few moments after I got the shot, she was talking to me and she said, well, you're breathing on your own. You look great. You did really well. we popped it twice and you came right back. I said, cool, what now? They sent me to where a wonderful doctor named Dr. Gertler sat me down and explained to me after they'd done some study. They did what they call the electric guys. They go up here from your thigh usually and find it, look, sniff around, see what they can figure out about what your heart's been doing. And he said, you basically have almost no buildup. There's not any cholesterol thing going on. So something blew. Something happened. And probably I was over-exercising is what probably happened. But I also was asking for it. And in my experience and my sense of faith, if you ask for something enough, odds are they're going to try to give it to you. So, but I'd run out of ideas, and that's where I was. And then, of course, that event happened, and I wanted a new life. And I got one, which is great. But to go back to Dr. Gertler, he explained, he said, well, you have what they call the widowmaker. And I said, fine. He said, there's two things we can do. So we can do nothing. And odds are 70% that this will never happen to you again. And I said, or I can put a stent in and it's 100% chance it's never going to happen again. So let's go with 100. And he said, you're lucky I'm here because half the year I'm actually a sheep herder in New Zealand. So he raised sheep in New Zealand for 6 months out of the year, and he did cardiac surgery for 6 months on the island of Oahu. And he was a real interesting guy. And he says, there's nobody better than me. I'm really good at this. And that was really reassuring. That's, sometimes confidence like that is actually a very good thing. Mm-hmm. And he passed me up, and gave me a couple recommendations about, how to stay fit. He said, get back in the game right away. Just, start exercising, get fit. I did have another minor episode after about a month later. I felt a little faint, and I went in for observation I was in New York at that time. And they noticed that there was a little bit of a murmur thing, and they said, well, maybe you qualify then for a pacemaker. So they did some more tests. I went into Cornell in Manhattan, and they said, yeah, you know what, I mean, it's like an insurance policy. Just maybe we can give you money. So I actually have a pacemaker as well, but it's never gone off. I don't really use it. It doesn't even pace me. So my recovery has been sufficient to get my heart in a place where it's fairly healthy. It's been a real relief. Right. Well, it seems that when people encounter what would be considered major health challenges, it's nicer if some of the hysteria that jumps out at people could be ameliorated a little bit, maybe calmed just a little, and simplified. And so I think Simply Better is probably a very apt and a good title for helping people understand things on the simplest terms and realize that most illness or most events that are dramatic medical events may have a pretty simple and underlying cause that will be easily fixed, honestly, in time.